What's going on? Welcome to the last live edition of Real Fans Real Talk for 2023. But we're gonna make it a good one to end off the year. Before I introduce my calls, I just want to say thank you to everybody that has been rocking with us in 2023. We got so many new supporters this year. Y'all have been rocking with us for this whole year strong, and we definitely appreciate you and we thank you guys for that. Keep locked in with us because 2024 is only going to get better. Now, with that being said, I got to introduce the other half of the dynamic duo, my brother, my co-host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? You already know we about to end off the year strong. For those that don't already know, we the Shaq and Kobe of the sports talk. Let's call it what it is. Trip. Like we got to stop being so humble with everybody. But I want to wish everyone. We didn't get to record last week, understandably so, because it was Christmas Eve. So I hope everyone had a great Christmas. And let's get to it. The end of 2023 before we get into 2024.
You know we got to start with the NFL because you see what I'm wearing right now. You see.
It ain't much to be said. I think you and I have said it for quite some time. There were some people that questioned it a couple of weeks ago when we said they were not only the best team in the AFC, I felt they were the most consistent team. And after another dominant performance today, I think the book is closed on who the best team in the NFL is as of week 17. We're recording this on December 31st, week 17 of the NFL season. The best team in the NFL does reside in Baltimore.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, no, first of all, I'm gonna shout out Derek Thompson because he was definitely here early at 6:32. But I'm gonna go to Kyrie Thompson's comment first because he knows what's going on, man. Lamar Jackson, 5 touchdowns. Ravens flock locked up the AFC top seed. Yes, the F we did, and we ain't going nowhere. Lamar Jackson put his stamp on the MVP this week because there was a lot of chatter in the media.
That's locked up.
He don't got the numbers, he this and that, you got this and that and blah, blah, blah. He said, okay, watch what I do this week to the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to just run up 5 touchdowns on y'all. I'm going to basically do whatever I want to do on the football field. Shout out to the Baltimore Ravens offensive line. They had me a little nervous at the end of the game because I'm like, well, y'all got Lamar Jackson in. The thing is a blowout. You need to take him out, take Stanley out, and the rest of the O-line starters out. Get everybody up the field right now because this thing is over with. They came to play. They locked up the number 1 seed. They are the favorites going into this thing. And like you said, Eric, they are the best team in football right now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any debate. They have been so thoroughly dominant over the last few weeks. When you look at what they did to the 49ers last week, when you look at what they did to the Miami Dolphins this week, as consistent as they've been all year, the 3 losses they had this year, we can point to each one of those and look at a moment in that game where they just had a lapse in judgment or they just got lazy and they should have won the game. My Colt game included. We were there at the Colts game.
Yes.
They get the safety on Gardner Minshew. All they had to do is get 1 first down and the game is over. And because they didn't get that first down, it goes to overtime and the Colts end up winning on a long field goal. But week in, week out, I think the Ravens have been the most consistent team. You win 13 games in this league. That speaks volumes to how good you are. Lamar Jackson, I think his stats, his MVP, previous MVP season probably were more wow and eye-catching than this season. But I just think his consistency this year, the way he's developed as a pass thrower and as a quarterback, I think speak volumes to where he's at. And like I said, I don't think there's a team that's better than this Ravens. This defense is really, really good. The addition of Roquan Smith, the play he made today was phenomenal. The one-handed interception that he makes, it ain't too many linebackers who can make that type of play. Him, Patrick McQueen. Granted, they got to get Marlon Humphreys back. We know that. He didn't play today. But the Ravens, top to bottom, right, best kicker in the game right now. Looks like they're going to have the MVP quarterback. Gus Edwards has been great for them. And then Zay Flowers is developing into a really good receiver. They don't even have Mark Andrews, and it don't even matter because Isaiah Likely has been playing so well. This team is really, really good, Trip.
Exactly. You gotta love it. As a Ravens fan, I'm so proud of these guys. Because you know you and I know I was a little nervous at the beginning of the season. Things were shaky. They wasn't trying to pay my man Lamar Jackson. Well, guess what? They paid him, and he has been worth every last dollar that they gave him. it's looking like he's going to get his second MVP, and they are locked up the number one seed in the AFC. You can't say enough about the Baltimore Ravens today and the performance that they had against the number two team in the AFC right now. And this was a very big game for both of those teams because the Miami Dolphins, were looking to try and steal home field throughout this playoffs with this game, and they came in and it just didn't happen. Started with Jalen Waddle being scratched earlier this week, and then Mostart was out today. I believe they announced that he wasn't going to play, but it was just too much of that Baltimore Ravens defense. You mentioned Roquan Smith. I gotta attribute it to him. He was hanging out with the GOAT this week and was getting some knowledge and some gems from Ray Lewis, the legend of Baltimore, of that Baltimore Ravens defense, the guy that really set the tone. He was with Ray Lewis this week. He must have gave him that pep talk because he showed improved. The rest of that defense, especially, I thought we might have a little bit of trouble because our safety Kyle Hamilton, who has been so important and so key to that Ravens secondary, especially with Marlon Humphreys being in and out of the lineup like he was. He didn't play today, so I thought we may have had a little bit of trouble containing Tyreek Hill, but no, they came to play, and it was a dominant win for the Baltimore Ravens, and is well deserved.
Yeah, and no knock on some of the injuries on Miami's offense, but that would not have stopped the Ravens from dropping 50 plus points today. No disrespect to Jalen Waddle or Raheem Mostert. I mean, I know they would have helped Miami's offense, but what the Ravens have been doing to defenses, I think is something that we need to really pay attention to. Like I said, a 50 piece today, 30 plus points last week on that Niner defense. That's really good. The Ravens, they've been the most consistent team. Shout out to Carolina Sports Plus. That's my man, Mario Edwards.
Mhm.
He's right. They got to do it in the playoffs. We're not going to overlook the fact that Lamar only has one career playoff win. He's got to do better in the playoffs. Last time they were the number one seed, they did get bumped in their first playoff game. So them having a bye, there'll be people that'll be skeptical that they got to still show it. But I love everything I'm seeing from them. I really do. I think Lamar has upped this game a certain level. We've always talked about him getting receivers, and you see with Zay Flowers, with Odell, what they're doing now. But that defense is something special, man. That defense is really, really good. A lot of interchangeable pieces. They're going to be a problem come playoff time.
And yes, you are absolutely right. Carolina Sports Plus, they do have to do it in the playoffs, and I believe they will. I believe it was 3 years ago. They had a first round bye, and they were rusty coming into this thing. But this is such a different Baltimore Ravens team. I think they do show improve this year in the playoffs. I think we see Lamar Jackson really lead this team to a Super Bowl, just because when you watch Lamar Jackson, especially the last couple of weeks, he is no longer looking to just take off and run. He is looking to throw the football. Even in the times when he has time and he's bouncing around, he'll run a little bit, but he's still looking to throw the football. That's something that was different from last year, even from his MVP season a couple of years ago. He is looking to throw the football now, and shout out to the receivers. Even Rashad Bateman has stepped his game up the last couple of weeks. Zay Flowers, he's looking amazing. Odell has been good for them this season, and Isaiah Likely stepping up in the absence of Mark Andrews. You got to really love this Baltimore Ravens team from top to bottom, because they do have the number one defense in football right now, but that offense ain't too far behind. So big shout out to the Baltimore Ravens. Let me see what's next on. Oh, let me throw this up because I seen somebody wanted to know about the game. Shout out to George. Thoughts on today's NFL games? Let me see what was the next big game we could talk about. Oh, you know what? Let's before we do move on, Tua had a little shoulder injury in that game. He did leave the game, and it was in the fourth quarter. So I don't want y'all to think that's the reason why they lost. But it was late in the fourth. He had a little shoulder injury. He did go to the blue tent. I'm hoping he's well and can play next week. And even if he doesn't take a week off, because they're locked in for the playoffs. So even if he does need to take the week off next week, hopefully he'll be good for the playoffs. I do want to see him doing well in the playoffs.
They're locked in for the playoffs. Is one of the things that we hinted at on the Friday Night Live, that I picked not only Baltimore to win this game, but I also knew that Miami might save something for next week, because even if they have won this week with Buffalo winning, next week is still for the division.
Yes.
So they couldn't really secure much today. They still would have to win next week to win the division. If they would have won today, they would have had a chance at the number 1 seed, but the division wasn't going to be locked up. And I think that's why they sat to understanding that next week now has a greater importance, because they have to win to be able to win the AFC East, get a couple home playoff games, and possibly be the number 2 seed.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the NFC. The 49ers, they lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC. McCaffrey did get a little banged up. He wound up leaving the game. I'm hoping he'll be okay, because they are going to need Christian McCaffrey, because he's probably would be neck and neck right now. I mean, well, not after today's performance, but going into this week, he was neck and neck with Lamar Jackson in that MVP race. So they're going to need him, but they did it again. They lock up the number 1 seed, and it doesn't hurt that the Eagles blow a game to the Arizona Cardinals, and and they pretty much, their chance at getting that number 1 seed again is over with.
No, it is over. With the Niners winning today, the Niners locked up the number 1 seed. I think what's going on with Philly is a real issue. And I know there'll be some people that are downplayed and say, well, they got 11 wins. They're still going to make the playoffs. They are. There's a chance they don't win the division, though. Dallas has control and can win the division next week. The Eagles got the Giants. But I'm going to tell you what concerns me about the Eagles. It's how bad their defense has been the last few weeks. And I wanted to bring up some of the numbers just to go back to show you, Trip. This is a team that, again, today they gave up 35 points to the Cardinals. A couple of weeks ago, they gave up 42 points to the 49ers. Right before that, they gave up 34 points to the Buffalo Bills. This was a defense that last year was a top 5 defense that everyone talked about how great they were up front and how much pressure they can get on the quarterback. And what we're seeing this year is that teams consistently pick on that secondary. In terms of names, Darius Slade and James Bradbury sound like really good names, but that secondary get picked on a lot. And it's happening again, and that's going to be an issue in the playoffs. I promise you right now, it's going to be an issue in the playoffs. What you saw from the Eagles today is not a blip in the matrix. This is something that's been going on now for a month and a half. They consistently give up big plays in the secondary and give up a lot of points.
Not even just a month and a half. This has been going on the whole season.
No, but the reason I'm highlighting the last month and a half is because, remember, that's when everybody said, oh, this is the gauntlet for them. This is going to be the gauntlet of the best teams they got to play. And look at some of the numbers they've given up during that gauntlet. As the teams have gotten better, the number of points has increased. And we know come playoff time, those are the best teams. You're not getting away with playing bottom feeders. You're playing the best teams.
And they lost 4 out of their last 5. And we've spoken about this in the past. You don't want to be backing into the playoffs. You don't want to do that. And that's what we're seeing with the Eagles right now. Losing 4 out of the last games to teams that you're going to see with the exception of the Arizona Cardinals, but you could see the 49ers, you could see the Dallas Cowboys, and you could possibly see the Seattle Seahawks I don't know if that game is over just yet, but you could possibly be seeing the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs. You don't want to go into the playoffs having lost 4 out of your last 5, and then now, I know you go into next week and you play the Giants, and you say, all right, that's a little chip shot win, but it's just the Giants. They're not a playoff team. And again, you gave up 25 points to the Giants a week ago.
Yeah.
And that was a close game.
Right.
That game could have actually went either way. So I don't even know if there's enough time for them to fix whatever it is that's going on, because, like I said, you got the Giants next week. Now you got to play in that wild card round because you blew the opportunity to get that, to have the first round bye. So you can't. It's not even like if there's any little ticky tack injuries, you can't even rest guys. We might be looking at the Eagles going out in the first round because you're the 5th seed right now.
It's going to be very interesting. So the Seahawks lose today to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh goes in there. Mason Rudolph, I got to give him his credit, man. Mason Rudolph's the last 2 weeks, his performance against Cincinnati and then again today against Seattle have not only kept their season alive, but given Pittsburgh a little bit of hope. And Mike Tomlin is not going to have another losing. He still doesn't have a losing season. He's going to have another winning season. The streak continues. I believe now it's 18 straight seasons that he's never had a losing season. We got to acknowledge that. But if you're the Eagles, if you're an Eagle fan, there's no way you can go into these playoffs feeling confident, because when you look at some of the quarterbacks you might have to play in some of the offenses, we already saw what the Niners did to you. The Niners smoked you. In the words of my brother Trip Young, you got your boot smoked. Right? So we saw that. Dallas consistently puts up numbers against his defense, right? The Rams offense is no slouch. I don't know if you even want to play the Rams in the first round in the playoff game, because they can move the ball up and down the field on you. So the Eagles have a lot of issues. Granted, I still like the Eagles probably more than most teams, but in terms of Super Bowl contenders, I don't like them more than the 49ers, and I'm starting to not like them more than the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Listen, you got to call a spade here. They have not looked good, and you blew a perfect opportunity this week against a subpar at best Arizona Cardinals team. I don't even know what to say to the Eagles. Yeah, Eagles fans, y'all better be on y'all P's and Q's, because it might be a short playoff run for you guys. And because again, I don't see a fix where we can say, all right, if we had just do this, and this, we could make this happen and be good in the playoffs. I don't see it. Maybe they prove me wrong, but as of right now, there's nothing that I've seen from the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm just gonna say this season, that would lead me to believe that they're gonna go on this deep magical playoff run and win the NFC and get back to a Super Bowl. I don't see it. I want to talk about Saturday night's game, the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. I was disappointed in the play calling at the end of that game, because whatever, if they told the refs, they didn't tell the refs. At the end of the day, it's over. You didn't get that 2-point conversion. You then go for the 2-point conversion again, and you don't get it, but you get bailed out by the penalty and say, okay, let's go for it again. Yep. When you had the opportunity to just kick the extra point, tie the game, go to overtime, the offense was clicking at that point. I just maybe you got some insight, Eric, and you see something different. I'm confused by the play calling at the end of that game.
I think that loss falls on Dan Campbell, their head coach, and it's cool for him to be frustrated in a press conference and highlight the fact that our player did report as eligible. But as you mentioned, you have multiple opportunities, and sometimes when God is trying to tell you don't do this, you got to listen to God. Let's call it what it is, right? So I think when you don't get it the first time and then you get an opportunity and then you get bailed out the second time, that's when you got to say, all right, let's just kick the extra point. Let's go to overtime. Let's try to win this game, because their defense had played well most of that game. Let's keep in mind their defense had only given up 20 points up to that point. It's not like Cowboys were moving up and down the field and scoring a bunch of points.
Yeah.
And the one thing I want to highlight,
CeeDee Lamb, but
CeeDee. Listen, we're gonna have to have this debate very soon. I am a firm believer that CeeDee Lamb has climbed into the top 5 of receivers in the NFL.
I believe so.
I just think CeeDee Lamb, when you look at his numbers over the last 4 years since he's come into the league, the way they've progressed, and especially what he's done this year, I think CeeDee Lamb is in that conversation of top 5 receivers in the league. But the Detroit Lions have multiple opportunities to kick the extra point and go to overtime. And not only that, to take it a step further, go back and look at the first half. They get down to the 4-yard line. They have a running play that gets stopped. They get a running play that has lost yardage. And then they have a pass play that's incomplete. And instead of kicking a field goal to make it 7-6 going into the halftime, they go for it on 4th down. They get an incomplete pass. Not to mention, they had other opportunities where they did not capitalize on field position. They left a lot of points on the board. Ron, it's easy to say they missed the tripping call. The Lions left points on the board. And that falls back on Dan Campbell, because I felt he was too aggressive in this game. You try to win the game. Don't get me wrong. You play to win the game, but you also have to be smart enough to understand how the game is playing out for you and realize my defense is playing well. Let's take some of these points early. Let's just give ourselves a chance in this game because at halftime, Dallas had only scored 7 points, and yet Detroit had left points on the board when they could have cut into that lead or even had the lead at halftime. So the 2 point is what everybody's going to talk about, but I want to go before that because they left points on the field.
Yeah, shout out to Ron. Charles, refs missed the tripping call before the late for that Lions penalty. And again, something that we always say: you don't want to blame the refs. Don't put the game in the hands of the ref. All right. Now, again, you still had an opportunity to tie this game up, and you kept going for the 2 point conversion, which was dumb. I was completely baffled by the Giants today because they tried to do that nonsense today, and they could have possibly won that. Which I mean, it worked out because I'm glad they wound up losing because I don't even understand what the hell y'all doing anyway. But I don't know what's up with the play calling that late in these games. You cannot force it in that situation. It was not meant to be, and you cost yourself, playoff positioning, with that dumb play calling towards the end of the game. I don't even care about the refs. You did it to yourselves because you had the opportunity to tie the game, take it to overtime, and let your offense do work. And they had been doing work. They were getting down the field. Laporta and St. Brown. Laporta was doing whatever the hell he wanted to do. Let's be clear. Going up that field on that last drive, he was doing whatever he wanted to do. And then St. Brown obviously comes down with the touchdown to close that drive off. I'm disappointed with the play calling at the end of that game because the Lions should have at least had a chance in overtime to win that game, but instead you lose by a point because you decide to not kick the extra point after everything that had transpired. So it is what it is. Shout out to Dion Hope's page. We're gonna talk about Bronny a little bit later. Imani, Kevon, I see y'all. We're gonna get to the NBA in a little while. Pooh, we see you. Always a pleasure. We're gonna get to y'all comments in just a minute. AFC, NFC South. It's gonna be a fun week 18.
It's coming down to this
because everybody is in play right now. I guess we'll start with the NFC. Obviously the Saints beat the Buccaneers today to tie for that NFC South lead. The Bucs have the tiebreaker right now. The Saints did lose Kamara to an ankle injury early in that game. I haven't heard whether it's going to keep him out for the season or not just yet, but I'm hoping he can play next week. But we pretty much got a Russian roulette going on next week between the NFC and the AFC South. Who comes out of the NFC South? We'll start there.
NFC South, I think, is going to be the Buccaneers. They get the Panthers next week. Bryce Young was knocked out of the game today. I would assume that the Panthers won't play Bryce Young next week. So the Bucs' path to a playoff spot becomes a lot easier. I mean, the Panthers aren't a good team right now anyway. So I like the Bucs there. For the Saints, they dug their own hole, man. The Saints, I think, are a more talented team, but they played around with this season and they had opportunities to lock up this division, I think, 3 weeks ago, and they didn't. So I expect the Bucs to win next week and win the NFC South.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't have the tiebreaker going right now, I might give the Saints a chance, but I mean, the Carolina Panthers are horrible. Like it is what it is. They're horrible. And
Will Gordon, I see Will.
I don't see Tampa losing next week, and since they already have the tiebreaker, it really doesn't matter what the Saints do. Obviously, there's a small chance that Tampa does lose because anything could happen any given Sunday. But I just think, if I was a betting man, which I am, I'm betting on the Tampa Buccaneers to win that division. Will Gordon, what it do, baby? What's good, man? And AFC South. Now this one is going to be a little tricky in the AFC. Who comes out of the AFC South?
I mean, dude, you have to ask me. I'm biased. I'm very biased. I I got my Colts. We got a big game against the Texans. Listen, nobody believed in us. We ain't even supposed to be in this spot. Trip, we're not supposed to be playing for the division in week 18, but I got the Colts winning next week. Now, there is the very real possibility that two teams come out of the AFC South.
Yes.
Because if the Jags win and then whoever wins the Texans-Colts game, which I think is probably going to be flexed into the Sunday night game next week because that winner of that game is going to have a playoff spot.
Mhm.
Two teams get in. But the Jags, it'll be interesting to see. Trevor Lawrence did not play today. We'll got to see if he'll be back next week. He's been one of them guys that's been kind of sitting around. But I got the Colts winning next week and potentially winning the division, taking the AFC South, man. You know, it's something light, Trip. We just out here, you know, with a backup quarterback. Our running back has been in and out the lineup. Our best receiver, he was hurt last week. He's back this week. We lost a maniac, one of my favorite guys, Darius Leonard. We just continue to find ways to win, Trip.
I want to say two teams from the AFC South will make the playoffs, but I'm gonna give the edge to Jacksonville because they have the edge, and Will Levi just went down again. And they play the Titans next week. So I want to say the Jaguars win just based off of them having a tiebreaker already, and I do think they close out because I think they can beat the Titans now that Will Levi is out. Their quarterback position is in shambles right now in Tennessee, and I think whether or not Trevor Lawrence plays next week, I think that the Jaguars can still beat the Titans. But again, I can see two teams from the AFC South winning. I'm going to let you take Will Gordon's question. What do you attribute the Colts' success to this season?
Shane Steichen, who to me, I mean, all year I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. Most of the year, Trip, I've said that DeMeco Ryans is the coach of the year, but I have changed my stance. I think it is Shane Steichen because what he has done with a backup quarterback in Gardner Minshew, at times have played with the second and third string running back. They've missed guys at receiver. Shane Steichen, to me, what he has done as a play caller and as a head coach has completely changed the Colts. He has brought not only an aggressive mindset, but a very calculated mindset. You look at the play today when they hit Alex Pierce for a 56-yard touchdown. It's 3rd and 1. They were going to go for it on 4th down anyway. He understood we're going to take a shot. So these are calculated gambles and calculated risks. And the fact that he turned Zach Moss, who's a guy who's been a career backup running back, into a legitimate running back when Jonathan Taylor was out, speaks to his system and his style of play. Gardner Minshew is going to get a big contract after this year from somebody. Somebody's going to pay Gardner Minshew big money to come into their system and compete at least for the backup, if not the starting job. This is all Shane Steichen. We've played way above our head. I'm not even going to lie. Trip, that day we were in Baltimore, you knew I was talking hella-ish, but I did not think we could beat the Ravens. But Shane Steichen's play calling, I think, got us that win, and I think that's why we have 9 wins right now.
Absolutely. Zach Moss also played himself into a contract next season as well. I think he's going to wind up getting a 3-year deal with somebody because, you know, they need running backs. Not saying he's going to get the bag, but he definitely played himself into a contract next season. So shout out to him. Yeah, I got to agree. Play calling play calling has been good for the Colts, and they're in a position with a backup quarterback to kind of seal their own fate and make it to the playoffs this season. So big shout out to the Colts for that. One last thing before we switch over to the NBA, Eric, I'm just letting you know right now. Baltimore does get the job done. I will be back out there to see you in February.
I mean, listen, If they do their thing, we will be at the parade. We'll lock that in. We'll make sure we're at the parade. But I'm gonna tell you right now, man, if y'all get the unlucky draw of having to face the Colts in the playoff, we might have to figure something out. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause you're my brother. I hate to have to be you, but you know, we saw last time the Colts had to come to Baltimore.
Well, they're gonna have to come to Baltimore again, and guess what? We're a different team than we was when we played you early in the season. I'm just letting you know that right now.
We're a different team too, because I didn't wear my Anthony Richardson jersey that day, so we're a different team there too. You know, we ready for that.
I got you. Oh, one last thing before we leave. Kyrie Thompson pointed this out. Panthers owner appears to toss drink at a Jags fan. nasty work. He's,
Nasty.
he's definitely going to be fined behind that. You got to maintain your composure. Okay, you have got to maintain your composure. First of all, I don't even know why you that mad. You know your team is trash. They they've been your team been trash all season. They're gonna be trash for the next couple of years because you gave up everything to just to get that draft pick. So I don't know why you that mad in the first place, but that's out of pocket. You got to do better, man.
Terrible display by the owner. Um, I think everything about this organization is kind of a joke right now. I'm not a big fan of Frank Reich, but you hire a guy and then you fire him within the first year when you knew things were going to be bad with a rookie quarterback. Let's not forget the previous head coach had 4 different starting quarterbacks in 4 years under Matt Rule. So everything about this situation just seems like a joke. And I think this is the icing on the cake. Like you said, nasty work is putting it lightly.
Yeah. Nah, well, we definitely not ignoring the Browns. Shout out to the Cleveland Browns. They have definitely been bowling. The reemergence of Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco. This is what's going on in Cleveland right now. I hope Amari Cooper can get back on the field next week because he set the tone 2 weeks ago. I think it was 236 yards receiving 2 weeks ago. So I hope he can get back. Losing Nick Chubb, who's top 3 running back in this league, maybe even top 2 when he's healthy, and Jerome Ford just picked up the slack and they kept going. And again, you lose Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco he just comes in like it's nobody's business, and he's out here playing like he was playing to help the Ravens get to the Super Bowl the last time.
Yeah. Shout out to my brother Will Gordon because I know how much you hate the Browns. He catchphrase. He coined the catchphrase "lose forever" when it came to the Browns. But they found a way to win, and it's a great story for them, man. I wish they had all of their pieces. I wish they had Nick Chubb because I think that would make them a legitimate threat come playoff time.
Yes.
But nonetheless, what they've done with multiple starting quarterbacks, this is their 4th different starting quarterback this year. So the fact that they got 10 wins, the fact that they're in the playoffs, kudos to their coaching staff and that defense, which I think is very, very good. They've got a very good defense, very good young defense. And the only question moving forward for this organization is going to be, can Deshaun Watson get back to what he once was? Because all the other pieces are there.
Yes. Absolutely. All right, let's switch over to the NBA. I'm gonna start with Hoopballer Scoop's comment that just came in. Will Gordon, the Bucks is balling, so the Lillard Giannis ish working. They had to take time, but Middleton been balling is the key. Their defense fell off, but it can improve. They can be a problem, and that is why myself and Eric both said wait it out. We didn't even get to the All-Star break. We said it was going to be a slow start for the Milwaukee Bucks because you were trying to incorporate a second superstar into the flow of what the Milwaukee Bucks do while losing. I mean, I guess Giannis is probably the best perimeter defender, I guess, defender period. But Drew Holiday is 1A and 1B. So we knew it was going to take some time. They're finally, they're gelling right now and they're looking good. They're looking better and better. They're in second place right now in the Eastern Conference. This is what we thought they would be.
I mean, I hate we say these things, and sometimes I think people assume that we're hating on them or that we don't believe in them. We know this duo can be special, right? As you mentioned, Trip. And we know this duo can do special things come playoff time. But it is going to come down to their defense because that is what got them eliminated from the playoffs last year in the first round. It was their defense. It wasn't their offense. So to Will Gordon's statement, yeah, be patient. You have to be patient. That's all you can do because this pairing was not put together to win 70 games in a regular season and that's it. This pairing was put together to win a championship. So we won't know how great they can be until we get to the playoffs. We hope that they gel good enough to get to a deep playoff run, and only time will tell. I don't want to be too harsh on the Bucks because I'm a big fan of Dame and Giannis, but I still think that team from a little further up north in Massachusetts is better. That's just my opinion, though.
I mean, they're definitely playing better. They've been the best team this season. They've been looking good all year. Let me go back to the beginning, and it's time. I know y'all been waiting. Y'all wanted to get at me about the Lakers, so we gonna just get it out the way right now. We going back. Shout out to Derek Thompson. I'm shocked y'all having a show with it being New Year's Eve. But Trip, what's going on with your Lakers? Think they beat Thunder and Hornets, but can't beat good teams. Well, the Thunder is a good team,
I was
so
about to say, let's not.
you know, and you know, who knows what happens last night if they don't still at one from my man King James on his birthday. So who knows? We don't even know what happened. They may have beat the number one team in the Western Conference last night. But again, the Lakers are in contention. That is where I said they were going to be in contention. I didn't say they was going to run through the Western Conference. I didn't say they was going to finish in the top 3. I said they were going to make the playoffs. They would be in the middle of the pack. That is where they are. Like y'all act like I said they was coming in here and going to go 82-0.
Yeah, I keep saying it, man. Like, what the Lakers are not geared up and not built to be a regular season team. So let's not put too much stock in what they do in a regular season. This is a team that's constructed to make a deep playoff run. The biggest issue for me is the amount of minutes that LeBron James has played early in the season. You've got to find a way, and I know people hate to hear it, but you got to find a way to do the load management. You got to find a way to give him some nights off to preserve him for the playoffs. All that being said, the Lakers were in the playing game last year and still wound up in the Western Conference Finals. So let's not act like what they do in a regular season is going to impact how deep of a playoff run they have. It has nothing to do. One has nothing to do with the other, especially when you're talking about a veteran-laden team like the Lakers. They just need to be healthy come playoff time. I think they'll make their run. And I also think they'll make a trade within the next month to prepare themselves for that run, just like they did last year.
Yeah. We thought Pooh's coming because she's going to be out here talking her ish today. Them Lakers, OMG. Y'all Lakers fans got hype over the little ass tournament, then had the nerve to have a ceremony before a game. Really? Oh my goodness. First of all, I love you, Pooh. I love you. But I don't know who really got hyped over the in-season tournament. I mean, it was a cool thing. I would have liked to win 500,000 mid-season too if I just could get a nice check, but I don't think nobody really put all right, whatever. They put up a banner for it, but I mean that's the team. That's what the organization chose to do. You know what I'm saying? They won. It's an in-season tournament. They won the tournament. They put the banner up. It is it is what it is. But like you said, Eric, this is a team that is they're playing for the playoffs. That is, and it's not going to look the prettiest throughout the season. Okay. They're going to take a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, but they are playing for the playoffs. That's where you're gonna really see who the Lakers are, because they're an older veteran team. All right, so it's just it is what it is.
Oh, that's a fact. And shout out to Kavon. I see his comment up there. Listen, I agree. I'm not saying that they're guaranteed to make the Western Conference Finals. No team is guaranteed to make the conference finals. Just because Miami went on a run they went on last year doesn't mean they're going to make another run this year. My point being that the Lakers they're not consumed with the regular season. Nothing they're doing is based on, hey, we got to win 60 plus games out of the regular season. It's all based on, let's get as healthy as possible. Let's gel going into the playoffs when that time comes. Because as I mentioned last year, the Lakers looked like trash for most of the regular season. And then they hit their stride right into the playoffs and went on a run. Same thing with the Miami Heat. Let's not forget the Miami Heat were trash most of the regular season. They actually lost their first playing game, right? And then hit their stride. So for veteran teams like the Lakers, they're not consumed or concerned with, hey, we got to do this right now because it's December going into January. Their whole thing is let's find a rhythm, let's get healthy, let's find the pieces that can fit this team, and then we'll worry about all these things come April and May when we're getting ready to go into the playoffs. So that's why I don't want to. I see everybody talking about the Lakers right now, and the same thing with the Bucks. These are championship caliber teams that are not worried about what they look like right now. This point of the season is for the young teams. This is for the young teams that are trying to prove themselves, not for the veteran teams that have bigger aspirations.
Why? Just because they have Bron and AD, we just assume they're going to do damage. I don't even know about assuming they're going to do damage. We're just saying they're going to be in the playoffs. That's what we're saying. But again, Eric, you said everything perfectly. We saw the same thing last season. They struggled out of the gate. They turned up after the trade deadline and got hot going into the playoffs, and they found themselves in the Western Conference Finals. Ultimately, obviously, they lose to Denver, but this is what we're going to see again this year. It's going to be the same thing. Now, I'm not guaranteeing they're going to be in the Western Conference Finals, but they are a team that is built for the playoffs. And again, it is going to be ugly at times during the regular season. Now, if we get to the end of the season and the Lakers don't make the playoffs, then by all means, y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. We can come back and I'll have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just have to accept that.
I don't think either one of us has said that they're gonna do damage. But if we're gonna say why do we assume? I mean, the facts are the facts. Bron and AD have been together 4 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, Trip. They've been together 4 years. They've gone to and won an NBA final 1 year and went to a Western Conference final another year. So 2 out of the 4 years they made a deep playoff run. Name me another team in the 4 years that have had a playoff run or playoff impact that the Lakers has had. Only really Miami, because Miami lost that finals to the Lakers in a bubble, and then Miami themselves made a deep playoff run last year. Other than that, there hasn't been a team that has had that type of impact in the last 4 years. So we're not saying that they're gonna do damage. We're just saying that they want to get healthy. They want to be right come playoff time. Yeah. That's all we're saying. Now, come playoff time, if they lose in the first round, depending on the matchup, it's very possible. But again, in the last 4 years, when Bron and AD have been healthy in the playoffs, we've seen them go and win a championship. And another year, they went to a Western Conference Finals. I don't think there's another team. Prove me if I'm wrong. Put it in the comment section. What other team in the last 4 years have had that type of impact? At least 2 of those seasons.
And I mean, who knows how far they go the year after the bubble if AD doesn't get hurt in the first round.
When they were up 2-1 on, when they were up 2-1 on Phoenix.
Yeah. So, like you said, I mean, who else like outside of Miami has been on that type of run during their tenure together? So that's what it is. Shot, yo, Drunk, what's good, man? I'm surprised.
Yeah, we miss you, Drunk. We miss you, bro.
I love to hate on the Lakers, but if they get in season tournament AD in the playoffs, yeah, if they get that, they're gonna be a problem. They're gonna be tough to beat. I agree with that. Well, obviously, Kyrie, all teams can say if they wasn't hurt, but just based off of them being up 2-1 in the series, I'm saying more than likely they at least make it to the second round if AD doesn't get hurt in that series because they were dominating the Suns to start that series off. Drunk, let me throw this one. Word on the street is Darvin Ham and Austin Reeves got issues. Now, Drunk, is that true or is it just because I know you be just saying stuff sometimes because I haven't heard about them having issues, but I mean, coaches and players, have issues all the time. It happens all the time. So I wouldn't put too much on that because Austin Reeves he's been playing, well as of late anyway. So I wouldn't put too much on that. Kevin, let me see what was Kevin's question. So I gotta hear you. So what was Kevin's question?
Which one?
Are you talking?
Which question are you talking about, Kyrie?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Unless I missed something back at the top.
And to Drunk, to your last comment, so there might be beef between Darvin Ham and Austin Reeves. I wouldn't doubt it. I think that's normal. But in terms of Austin Reeves being involved in every trade scenario, I think it's a combination of his salary number, we got to remember that sometimes guys get signed with the intention of possibly getting traded later on. It's one of the reasons that D'Angelo Russell got the number he got, because they knew that they could flip that number later on. So I wouldn't put too much into trade scenarios and trying to correlate the two as if like, oh, they got beef now. I just think that if they know they can flip him for the right move, they will do it. And I think that's for everybody on the Laker team.
Are you talking about this one? Just the question. The Lakers are old and they can't shoot as a team. But to Sanchez, just because they got to the Western Conference, don't mean they will this year as a different team. They couldn't shoot as a team last year.
I was about to say, I think I answered this because, like I said, they played like trash most of last year, and then they got hot right at the end of April and went on a run in the playoffs. And to that point of they old and they can't shoot. I challenge everybody. Look back at what the Miami Heat was shooting from three last year before the playoffs, and then somehow Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, them guys all turned into Reggie Miller come playoff time.
Hold on, you said another question was asking you about LeBron. What question that? It's cash money. My friends is cash money, and every Lakers game I've seen. Hold on, I'm trying to find a question. You said right above the happy new year. I don't see no.
Hey, have them. No. Kavon, type in the question again because it's not showing up right now.
Yeah, because I don't see a question from
rewrite that
up here. Okay, thank you. Let me see. Let me just go back because I know there's a couple other comments that we got to get to as well. While we waiting for him to rewrite that comment, let me shout out Pooh. Pooh, you crazy. Damn, I ain't seen y'all in a few weeks, so y'all ready to get one more showing before 2024. Well, I'm listening while looking at outfits. Pooh, let us know. Send us a picture so we can see what you finalized on your New Year's Eve outfit. And if you going out, and this is to everybody, all the supporters, if y'all going out for New Year's, make sure y'all be safe. If you're gonna be drinking, drink responsibly. Do not get behind no wheels or no cars. If you are going to be drinking, just be safe out there, man. We want everybody to have a blessed New Year's and to come home safe to their family and their loved ones. All right. So if you are, like I said, if you are going out, just be safe, everybody. All right. Let me see. Right yet? All right. Who else? What else we got up here in the meantime? Oh, let's talk about John Morant. John Morant's return to the NBA has been what the league needed. I think after Curry and LeBron move on, if he does right, he can be the face of the NBA. They lost the other night, but it's refreshing seeing him do what he does best. I agree. He was player of the week that first week back. He hit the game winner. And I want that for John Morant because he is somebody that should be one of the faces of the league. He's in the upper echelon. He just has to stay out of trouble off the court. You cannot have another situation like the ones that we had dealt with last season. Like let's just scratch all this out. You know what I'm saying? Let's start fresh now that he's back and continue to do well because John Morant is a big part of the future of the NBA if he can continue to do things the right way.
Oh, that's a fact. I think Ja is a tremendous talent. I don't even think Ja realizes how much of an impact he can really have on and off the court. Trip, I think you and I have talked about it in the past, with him kind of being in that same lane of Allen Iverson as a true crossover star and somebody who can appeal to so many different people and so many different backgrounds. So he doesn't even understand yet how big of a star he is because he's so young.
Yeah.
My only concern with Ja is the people that are around him. Sometimes you need people around you that say, nah, let's not move like that. Nah, let's not get involved in some of them things. If he can stay away from some of the negative aspects of fame and celebrity, I think the sky's the limit for Ja. And I do think he could be the face of the NBA. But he's got to stay away from some of them outside resources and people that can pull him in a negative direction.
Yeah. I see your comment, Kevin. I'm gonna put it up next. I've been arguing Halliburton's better than Ja ever was all week. What y'all think? I'm not gonna put him ahead of Ja. right now. I think he got to do a little bit more work for me personally. Ja's a problem, man. Like if he could just get his act together off the court, you know, he's going to be a superstar in this league for a long time to come. Look, he is the Memphis Grizzlies right now. He is them.
So no, you're right, Trip. But let's keep it a buck. Halliburton is a better player than Ja. I agree with you. But when you talk in terms of a star, you're talking about marketability. You're talking about a guy that's so exciting when you watch him on TV that it transcends the team aspect of the game. That you're no longer watching the team, you're watching Ja Morant. And that's what Tripp's point is. Ja is that. Ja is a guy that you will tune into Memphis Grizzlies games just to see what Ja does. Even if he shoots 10 for 25, I watched Ja Morant tonight. Halliburton is a more complete player, a better true point guard, a better defensive player, can do more things on the court. But in terms of a star, Ja Morant is a bigger star than Tyrese Halliburton. And that is it. And right here, Ja is the Allen Iverson of today's game. Great. But when you deep dive the numbers of AI, and Trip, you and I both love AI, AI wasn't very efficient as a player.
No, but he had everything.
Right, but he had the star power.
Yeah, and Ja has that.
Right.
And I'm not saying Tyrese Halliburton can't get there, but star power is a big part of who becomes the face of the league. One, and two, a big part of that is also how you play the game. And with the exception of Steph Curry, obviously greatest shooter of all time, the guys that become the face of the league is the big time is the guys that's jumping out the gym and are still, winning as well. And Ja Morant has that. Ja Morant is jumping out the gym from the time he got into the league. He's trying to throw it on you every time down the court, damn near. So he's gonna have that edge. I'll give you that, Eric. That Halliburton is a better all around player. But if we're talking about becoming the face of the league, like I don't think I could ever see Halliburton being the face of the league.
Well, I wouldn't say ever. I mean, certain circumstances, because I don't know if
let's
you
just
and I,
a couple of chips.
Right, but hold on. Like if you and I would have had this conversation, I've known you now, Trip, what now? 8 years, right? If we would have had this conversation when we first met about Giannis, we would have been like, nah, Giannis probably can't be the face of the league. But when you win a championship, when you win some MVPs, you kind of transcend all those things. So I don't want to, that's not to compare Halliburton to Giannis. I don't want people to get this misconstrued because you know how people run with those type of comments.
Right.
I'm just saying that Halliburton still has a lot of work in front of him that could change that narrative.
Yes.
But right now, Ja has a certain star power that I don't think very many young players even have.
Yes.
Ja's ability to connect with the culture is completely different than Tyrese Halliburton. Ja's style of play fits a certain void that we don't have in the game. You know, when you're talking about a guy who's 6'2", who's dunking on 7-footers, when you're talking about a guy, like if most people stood next to Ja Morant, they would be surprised by how slight in stature that he is. And so for him to dominate the game and play the game the way he does is similar to AI. It transcends all that because of the way he dresses, because of the way he plays, because of the swag that he presents. So I think Ja is a far bigger star than Tyrese Halliburton.
And one thing with Halliburton, and yeah, I guess anybody could do it because winning does change a lot.
Right.
The problem is he doesn't have the star power now,
right.
And as good as he is, Indiana's not winning anything anytime soon.
Right, he would have to win something for the conversation to change. But let's be real, like Ja ain't won shit either.
No, but because he already has that star power.
Right, his aura is so large that it's like Ja is a star in a small market, mind you, in Memphis.
That's why I think the AI comparison is so perfect because again, I mean, AI did get an MVP, but as far as championships, AI didn't have any championships, but his star power was so engulfing, you just had to respect it. You know what I mean? And he was one of the best players in the league for, for the most part of his career. He was one of the best players.
Of course. But that's what I'm saying. Like it's when you talk about complete player and then star power, it's two different things. You know, I always love the comparison. People, I think, tend to overlook it. Allen Iverson and Ray Allen, you know, same age group, same kind of class that came in. Ray Allen might have been a more complete player in terms of his ability to shoot, create his own shot, and people forget how good young Ray Allen was.
Mm-hmm.
But he damn sure wasn't the star that Allen Iverson was.
No.
Allen Iverson was out of this world in terms of star power. We could be talking about the same thing with Tyrese Halliburton and John Morant. John Morant is the biggest star. I think Tyrese, though, is the more complete player. And there was a comment about a guy who man, there's a guy right now playing out in the Midwest that goes by SGA that I think is phenomenal right now.
Yes, and we're gonna talk about SGA in a minute as well. Ray Allen didn't have Iverson's personality exactly. That's the thing. Now he was Jesus Shuttlesworth though, so he did have that. Maybe Halliburton might have to be in. He got game 2 or something like that. They got to do a remake and put Halliburton in the movie or something so we can help boost his profile up some.
Right, but Kevon, to my point, you say he did not have AI's personality. You're 1,000% correct. But right now, tell me who had the more complete game. Drunk said OKC. Is it OKC in the Midwest? Is that out there in the Midwest?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
it's not all the way on the West Coast.
It ain't West Coast. It ain't East Coast. It
ain't right. I mean, but my fault. Drunk. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I thought I categorize it as the Midwest. I don't know.
Drunk says, I feel like Ja has a ceiling and Halliburton doesn't. Maybe I'm drunk. Drunk, you always drunk, but it's okay because we love you anyway.
Nah, drunk. Wow, look at Drunk last comment. Damn, Drunk. Don't do me like that.
Oklahoma's the South. Oh man, yeah. We listen. Everything is.
Come on, I brought a gift for the whole 9. Come on, the whole 9. Come on, baby. Did you bout it, fool? Damn. What for, Drunk?
Oh man, you're right. LOL. Allen always shot 10 for 30. Sometimes I thought he was overrated. Oh, I ain't gonna say he was overrated because at then 5'11", doing what he was doing. Okay, and we knew AI was gonna be a problem from that first Jordan game. We knew he was gonna be a problem. So we ain't even gonna slander AI like that. AI is him. Like that's a fact. Okay, he was MVP for a reason. And if he had a better team around him, he might even be NBA champion right now. Because it was bad for him for a long time. Hey, let me throw Kevon's other question up here now. I asked, when did Trip become such a LeBron lover? I was saying from afar, you got that Shannon Nick Wright love for him. First, I mean, I've been a fan of LeBron since he was in high school. Coming into the league, that's always been my guy. But before LeBron was my guy, AI was my guy, and Mike was my guy before that. Those was my guys. Now, it just so happens that 2 of the 3 of my guys is 1 and 2 on the all-time list, which I love. So, but I mean, it's not like I'm out here praising LeBron without reason. LeBron is that guy. He is. Wherever you have him ranked, but he ain't no lower than number 2 on the all-time list. So what I say about LeBron, you know what I'm saying, it got to be respected because he is that guy. And happy birthday again to LeBron at 39 years old. He's still keeping up with the guys that are supposed to be running the league right now. So you got to put respect on LeBron James's name.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. They try to lump you in there with Shannon and Nick Wright, Trip. I can't let you do my brother like that, man. I feel Trip is a fan of LeBron, but I also think he's fair because there's been times we've been on air where he's been critical of Bron and some of the things. But Bron is phenomenal, man. And I truly do. Like it's obvious to you guys who I feel is the GOAT. But I think it's so unfair that we try to knock down LeBron just because we feel he doesn't measure up to Mike. It's not fair, bro. Like, if you feel Mike is the greatest of all time, that isn't a knock on Bron. You know what I'm saying? Braun is phenomenal. As Trip and I have tried to say, we want to get away from the conversation of just all-time great and give me your best starting five. And if you don't have LeBron in your starting five, then that's a different conversation we need to have, because I don't see if if there was a real life Space Jam and they say, yo, I need your five best basketball players of all time in their prime, there's no way you could tell me that Braun is not one of the five guys on that court. I'm sorry.
Yo, Trump, you're a special one. Hated on Braun for so long, but man, this dude stats in year 50 is starting to win.
No, drunk is wrong. He's in year 40. He's in year 40. but I see what drunk get at. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Here's the thing. Now, if I was up here talking about LeBron, you know what I'm saying, like he was like it was Kwame Brown or something like that, and I'm praising him like that, then I would understand that. But LeBron done validated anything I could say. Like, we're talking about somebody who is 39 years old and is still a top 10 player in this league. There is no other player in the history of the NBA that has been this great for this long. Like, it just is what it is, man. Like, you got to put respect on his name. If you don't have LeBron in the top five, either you a hater or you don't know basketball. Straight like that.
No, that's a fact. And I love that last comment you made, because I'd say that all the time.
Yes.
That is the best version of LeBron James. I always say that. To me, LeBron's best moment is always going to be Game 6 in Boston, that 2011-2012 season when they're down 3-2 and they had to win to not only avoid elimination, but possibly blowing up the big three. Because if they lose that second year to Boston, Chris Bosh won't be there. Eric Spoelstra never coaches again. And Braun calmly goes out there. I believe he had like a 45-11 type night that night. Yeah. That to me is Braun's masterpiece performance.
Let me throw up Hoopballer Scoops comment, because he says he's getting ready to check out. We're getting ready to be out of here too, because I want to watch the Sunday night game.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Footballers on the line tonight. Let me ask y'all before I'm out: will we ever see a player three-peat twice again or win 6 titles in 8 years? First and foremost, before I even answer that, let me say this: we're gonna stop skipping over Bill Russell and the greatness that Bill Russell brought to the NBA. Okay. The question should be: are we going to see somebody win 11 titles in a row again? Because
that was a different NBA though, Trip.
I understand that, but we still got to give Bill Russell his props. Like, that's still, you could not win 11 straight NBA titles. You could be in the league for that long. So we still got to put respect on Bill Russell's name. Now, back to this question. I don't know if we ever see a team three-peat again, just because, I mean, guys just don't be staying healthy long enough to three-peat. It's tough. It's tough to win 1. It's even harder to win 2 in a row, and it's damn near impossible to win 3 in a row. That's why it hasn't been done but a handful of times. And to say to do it back to back and or you know, win 6 times in 8 years, I don't know if we see that again.
I don't think we will. I would love to see it, but I don't think we will, just because a lot of these younger players now are more worried about teaming up together as opposed to competing against each other. The difference in the Mike era, and this is not to compare, you know, what we have now to what we have then, but I just think then guys wanted to beat each other. They wanted to play against each other and actually beat the guy, whereas guys now are more content to join up with the guy. I think Kevin Durant has kind of been at the forefront of that, and you know, join up with guys and hey, let's do our own thing over here and see if we could win a championship or 2. Mm-hmm. So to see a three-peat, I think would be phenomenal, but to see it twice within an 8-year span, we're never going to see that again.
I think the closest we would have gotten to that would have been Golden State, but again, the injuries stopped that from happening.
And even still, that would have been 1 three-peat. Well, Hoopballer Scoop is talking about is 2 three-peats within an 8-year span. And looking at the landscape of the league, think about how crazy that would have been right now.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. And let me see, John, can we go with the Bill Russell and them WNBA 10 teams in the league titles? Respect to Bill though. And let me say this: here's why you got to give Bill Russell more respect than a lot of people want to give Bill Russell, because whatever you want to say, you know, it wasn't the land of the Giants at that point. Okay, I'll give you that. But what Bill Russell was dealing with off the court,
Yeah.
nobody in the history of the NBA has had to deal with what he had to deal with off the court. And I'm not even talking about from the world. I'm talking about just in his own backyard in Boston, the racism that he had to deal with. That is a hell of a lot to have to deal with, and then to still come on and be the most dominant player in the league for 10 years, 11 years. You got to give Bill Russell his respect, man, because I don't know, you know what I'm saying, got too many guys that's going to be able to deal with what Bill Russell had to deal with during his tenure with the Celtics and still do everything that he did and accomplish everything he was able to accomplish.
Not only that, I mean, the off the court stuff is crazy to think about, but also the unselfishness, because it's at a time when everybody's comparing him to Wilt, and everybody's so mesmerized by what Wilt is doing, you know, that Bill is kind of taking a step back and like, no, I'm gonna be the ultimate team player. If y'all just need me to grab 20 boards tonight, that's what I'm gonna do. If y'all need me to get 10 blocks, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, he never got caught up in the numbers. And that's crazy to think about, because nowadays all of these guys get caught up in what their counterparts are doing. And Bill was able to stay focused on, this is what my team needs me to do to win. Let's also not forget, he was a player coach who won a championship as well, which has never happened and it's never going to happen again. So we can never overlook the accomplishments and the contributions of Bill Russell.
Football Scoop says, don't get it twisted, drunk. It was some great centers and power forwards back in the 60s. It wasn't all plumbers.
Definitely wasn't all plumbers. It definitely wasn't. And don't get me wrong, some of them might have been plumbers in the offseason because they wasn't getting $40 million a year.
I feel bad about my Bill Russell joke, my bad. Order my New Year's pizza. Let me go back. Ron. Trip, what's your thoughts on LeBron 4-6 record? Hell, he got to win 2 more to be at 500. Warriors are closest to the Bulls. 2 3-peat Warriors win 4 and 8. I mean, record is his record, man. Like, what you like, it is what it is. Obviously, I would like for his record to be better, but you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, championships are team accomplishments. All right, and so, and I'm not to make excuses for Braun, but I mean, shit, I don't know anybody damn near that was going to even come close to them damn Warriors teams that Braun to play against with Kevin Durant and the boys together. Like, I don't just like. Do you think that Michael Jordan would have beat the Warriors with Kevin Durant?
All right, so if you're telling me the best version of the Bulls against the best version of the Warriors, I'll take the Bulls. But I'll say this. I think sometimes we make the landing soft for LeBron when we say, well, he wasn't going to beat the Warriors. Okay, cool. Maybe he wasn't going to beat the Warriors, right? Especially with KD, maybe. But let's not forget that there are 2 specific finals where LeBron James was on the team that was the favorite to win the finals, and he did not. And that is the 2010-2011 Miami Heat that lost to the Dallas Mavericks. Yes. And also the 2013-2014 Miami Heat that lost to the Spurs. Both those times they were favorites to win, and they didn't. And if not for the Ray Allen shot, they probably would have lost to the Spurs twice. So that's not to take anything away from Braun. And I know, like you mentioned, it's a team accomplishment. But there have been times where Braun was on the best team who was projected to win based on Vegas odds and lost in the finals. So if we're going to say, oh, well, he wasn't going to beat the Warriors, well, what about the times where he was the favorite and didn't win? Yeah. We got to call a spade a spade.
Don't get it twisted. When LeBron lost, I got at LeBron.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Just so y'all know, because I know some of y'all guys are newer supporters to the show. I don't let LeBron off the hook. Like, let's be clear about that. As much love as I show LeBron, I don't just let LeBron off the hook and let anything fly with LeBron. The only championship that I personally would be like, you know what, it was not even a clear match, would be that first one against the Spurs. But it was just like they ain't had no chance in hell, because that one was like that team was, I don't even know how LeBron got that team to the finals. But other than that, no, I'll get at LeBron when LeBron don't do what he's supposed to do. I will get at LeBron. It's just, I mean, but at this point in his career, like, I mean, What are you saying to LeBron right now? Like he's doing things that are unheard of.
He is. And Braun, like I said, when for me personally, I can't speak for no one else, but when I say Braun isn't the best ever, that's not a knock on Braun. You can still be number 2 or even number 3 for the people who have Kareem above Braun and still pay respect to Braun and everything he's accomplished in the game. I just think too many times the people that are so diehard Braun fans, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that he's not number 1.
No, I mean, I still have Michael as the GOAT. So it's not like, all right, like that. And that would be the other thing. If I came up here every week and was just like unequivocally LeBron is the GOAT and that's it, then I could understand. But no, I still got MJ at the GOAT. Will I feel that way when LeBron's career is over completely? Maybe I might feel differently. But as of right now, I still have Michael Jordan as the GOAT. My personal opinion is Mike is the GOAT.
Mike is the GOAT. Ron, hold on. I put that comment back up there. Ron, I rock with you. I'm gonna take it a step further. 96 Bulls, that's a 72-10 team. That team was good, but I really think the 93 team, 92-93 was even better version when they still had Horace Grant. Because I think a lot of times people overlook how good Horace Grant was at that time for that team and the versatility they had. Cool coach was amazing though. When you're talking 96, cool coach Ron Harper, who was still pretty good, but that was an older team. But I think them younger Bulls teams, when Mike and Scotty were kind of at their peak defensively, 92, 93, what they were doing defensively, that team was special, bro.
Yeah. Footballer Scoop says, Stephen A. Smith says Rich Paul tries to check for saying MJ is number. I'm not sure.
I think he's trying to check him.
Stephen A. tries to check Rich Paul, or Rich Paul tried to check Stephen A. Smith.
Rich Paul tried to check Stephen A. on saying MJ number 1.
I mean, but you can't check nobody. Like now, if I said Robert Horry was the GOAT, then you could check somebody on that. But that's upset. Like you can't check nobody on saying Michael Jordan is the GOAT. And even if somebody right now has LeBron as the GOAT, like it's not like it's that far off to where there's like nothing you could ever possibly say to make the case for it. If it's somebody who we don't even recognize as a top 25 player, that's you out of pocket. But when it's that close, like I'm not mad at anybody for saying LeBron is the GOAT. I'm not mad at anybody for saying MJ is the GOAT. I'm not mad at anybody who has Kareem as the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Because you could make the case. Now, when you start jumping out the window, you know what I'm saying, like and naming guys that we know is just not it. That's one thing. But when it comes down to those 3 guys, I'm not going to be mad at anybody who has their preference. Because I tell you right now, if you're talking to people from Kareem's era and before that, a lot of those people are going to say it's Kareem. If you're talking about people from MJ's era and going into now, they're gonna say it's MJ, and then the later generations are gonna have a lot of them that say LeBron. But either one of those 3, you can't go wrong if you have them as the GOAT. That's why we did the Mount Rushmore and had the top 5 best at each position, so we don't even have to have that discussion.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's why we want to shift away from just the one isolated GOAT and say, hey, look, these are the 5 best. And again, if civilization was on the line and I need the 5 best guys on the court, who would you pick? Rich Paul, though, I'm not mad at him. No, that's his man.
Yeah, we think.
Yeah, like what else is he supposed to say? You know what I'm saying? That's like if somebody be like, yo, Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp, the best duo in the game. I'm like, you out your fucking mind because you ain't seen me and Trip Young. Exactly. You ain't seen us yet. So we the best. But that's just, I apologize, Trip. I'm cursing. I apologize.
It's all good, bro. Where's Magic Johnson all time to y'all? Magic is top 5 for me.
Best point guard ever.
Best point guard ever, top 5. I probably have Magic at number 4. I think I got Magic at number 4 on the all-time list. But he's definitely the best point guard ever. When we did our Mount Rushmore special, he was the number 1 point guard that we voted on all time. So that's why I have him. I have him ranked number 4, and he's the best point guard of all time.
I think you could flip-flop between 4 or 5. I agree with you. I think our top 3 is the same. We both had Mike, Braun, and Kareem. And then 4 and 5, we flip flop between Magic and Tim Duncan, who we both felt Tim was the best power forward of all time. So he's right in that range. The only thing that's holding Magic back is the longevity. Because when you compare him to everyone else, Braun in year 20, Kareem played 20 years, Mike, including the Wizards, played 15 years, Tim Duncan played 15 years. Magic is the only one that stops right around 12 years. That's the only thing that really holds him back. Granted, he doesn't have all of the individual accolades that Mike, Braun, and Kareem have, but impact on the game, just his control as a point guard. There's no better point guard ever than Magic Johnson. I'm sorry.
Facts. And again, us saying that is not a disrespect or a slap in the face to Steph Curry.
No, it's not.
Okay, just want to be clear because we're Steph. No, just because we say someone else is great, it does not diminish what any other player has done. Steph, I have him as number 2 on the all-time point guard list. Do y'all think Braun versus Jordan debate helps Jordan stay alive? People go watch his highlights because now you got young kids like to his highlights. I mean, The Last Dance probably did more to keep MJ alive than anything. But the discussion of MJ being the GOAT all this time, and I think other than that, probably the fact that Jordan still got the number 1 sneaker ever is going to keep that alive as well. Like, it don't take much. Damn the debates. If we didn't have a debate about the GOAT, MJ was still going to be that guy because everybody is still lining up around the corner to buy Michael Jordan sneakers. And it ain't like he got some new fly joints because they buying the same 1 through 13. All these other numbers, I think it's up to like 25, 30 right now, something like that. Nobody gives a damn. They are buying the same sneakers that Mike wore when he played the game. Mike don't need no help with staying relevant because that alone is going to put Mike, you know what I'm saying, over the top in any conversation right there.
I mean, the fact that here we are now, 30 plus years since the release of the first Michael Jordan sneaker, the Jordan Silhouette, and it's still one of the top selling sneakers. I think it is still the top selling sneaker. That keeps Jordan's name alive. Because I think a lot of young kids who never saw him play are intrigued by the mystique around the shoe and the aura of the Jordan name.
Let me go to. I'm gonna go to Dion Hoops page question now about Bronny. Can we have a deep convo? LOL. Bronny James averages 4 points a game, and they got him a first round pick. And before the heart stuff, he isn't something we haven't seen before, right? Is it fair that he gets this treatment because of father's name? Dude took a stop and made the McDonald's game. He had a good game yesterday, but it's amazing what being related to someone can do for you. Obviously, man, it helps. Obviously, his last name is James. Okay, like yes, he's gonna get a boost in a lot of situations. As far as what he's been doing right now, I mean, what has he played? 4 games right now, 5 games.
Yeah, he's very early in his college career.
Yeah. And they had him ranked as a first round going into this college season. I don't know if he'd be averaging, let's say, 12 points a game if he didn't have the heart issue. I don't know. I'm not gonna give him any excuses. I mean, realistically, we kind of just have to wait and see with Bronny to see what's gonna happen. But yes, he's always gonna still get a leg up. Remember, guys were talking about MJ's kids until we found out, they were just not hoopers like that. But there was a lot of talk around MJ's kids when they were in high school and headed into college. There was a lot of talk about them. So that's what happens. Yes, we are beneficiaries of our parents being these, famous people. And that's not in just basketball. That's in everything. People get certain nods based off of who their parents are.
I mean, not just that. We also live in an era of, over information. And so the projection of him being a first round pick was based off of what they think his ceiling will be. Now, the fact that he's playing against better competition and only averaging 4 points a game, that will affect his draft stock. To use a recent player, this is no different than Imani Bates, who, when Imani Bates first went to college, we had him projected as a high first round pick. And then because he didn't play enough games and he struggled a little bit in college, he slipped in the draft. That's not to knock his talent. That's not to say he can't be an NBA player, because we see Imani Bates does have a high skill set. But these are the things that happen. I wouldn't put too much stock into it. Yes, the name plays a big factor on it. If his name was Bronny Smith, we probably would evaluate him differently, right, Trip? We know that. If his last name wasn't James, we would evaluate him differently. But I also don't think that we should be too harsh on Bronny James, because I do think that he has a particular skill set that will translate. He's a young man who already has displayed a defensive proficiency and an ability to knock down a corner three. And we know in this current NBA, if you're a 3-and-D guy, you're going to always find a spot in the league. So if he continues to develop that, if he continues to master that skill set, he could be a guy who can come in the league and be a Trevor Ariza type player. Now, will that disappoint some people because he won't live up to the last name? Probably. But Trevor Ariza, last time I checked, played in the league 10 plus years and won a couple championships. Was an impact player on some really good teams. So Bronny James could have that same type of impact. May not be what his dad was, but he could still be a very good NBA player.
Yeah. And, having a last name James is not always a plus, because the amount of pressure that is on Bronny James to be LeBron James, that in itself is going to make things even harder for him. So it's not always a plus to have that. And again, we just finished saying that LeBron is arguably the second best player of all time. The next 10,000, 100,000, 500, 5 million players that come into the league aren't going to be LeBron James, but he's gonna have that pressure on him because his last name is James. So I just want to watch and enjoy it. Sometimes we just got to sit back and watch and see. And if he doesn't do well, he doesn't do well. But I will say he does have an NBA game. Not saying he's going to be a superstar or anything like that. Just that his game, he can play an NBA style game. That's all I'm gonna say about Bronny. The rest we're gonna have to wait and see. 5 games is not enough to say what he's gonna be.
Yeah, it's too early. And like I said, let's not be overly critical of Bronny James, because he might be a guy who may need 2 years, 3 years of college to really develop. And that's not a bad thing either. We were talking about Ja Morant earlier. Ja didn't come out after his freshman year. Ja needed a couple seasons to really develop his game and mature into the player he is now. So the same thing can happen for Bronny. He might really develop all of his skills at USC, and maybe after his sophomore year, or maybe even after his junior year, it comes out and then becomes the player that we think he can become. So it's way too early. Let's not be so critical. I don't like that. I don't want to be too critical of 18-year-olds who are still learning the game a little bit and trying to figure out their way.
Let's be honest, Bronny with heart condition is an undrafted player. If his name Joe Clark, but the NBA gonna make him and Bron play together happen. And listen, that's a possibility. And I do, yeah. If it's somebody else, I mean, we haven't even heard from Shaq's son. Remember, Shaq's son had the heart condition too, and we haven't heard from him. So who knows? It may work out. It may not. That's why I said at this point we just gotta wait and see, because the good thing about Bronny is he ain't got to rush to go to the league. If he don't play a game in the NBA, he's going to be set for the rest of his life. It is what it is.
I don't even want to make it about the money, because then that becomes a whole nother conversation. But if you're telling me Bronny with the heart condition is an undrafted player, okay, cool. Maybe you're right. But the draft isn't tomorrow, right? We still got months to scout Bronny. We still got months to figure out what he is as a player. And again, that's to assume that he comes out after his freshman year. What if he goes back and balls out of control next year? And let's say hypothetically his sophomore year, Bronny's a guy who's averaging 16, 5, and 5. Is he not a first round prospect then at 19, 20 years old? Is he not a guy that now we become more intrigued by? A lot of guys, I think too many times we get so enamored by the guys who are one and done. There are plenty of guys in the league who didn't go one and done, that stood a year or two and figured it out and then developed their game. As I mentioned earlier, John Morant was a guy who, this is not who Ja was his first year at Murray State. Go back and look at the numbers. John Morant's his freshman year, I think he averaged 6 points a game at Murray State. He was not the guy he is right now. He was not the guy he was when he came out in the draft. So let's give Bronny a little bit of time.
Yeah. And the other thing with Shaq saying, the thing with Bronny and LeBron is there is a storyline because the timetables can connect for them to play at the same time. Shaq's son would be just now entering the NBA. Shaq has been retired for, a decade now. So there's not even really a storyline to push to say, all right, this is a narrative to have father and son playing the league together, like Ken Griffey and his dad playing together in baseball. So it would have been a little bit different. LeBron still has that type of pull in the league to say, yeah, he might be able to get a team to draft his son. But again, if, like you said, if he's putting up 16, 5 and 5 by next season, he don't need LeBron to say anything because that's first round draft pick anyway. But
right.
You know what I'm saying? So
and to the original comment about like where he was projected, a lot of guys are drafted solely on potential. That's the league. Like when Andrew Wiggins came out of Kansas, Andrew Wiggins wasn't the best guy on that team. But Andrew Wiggins was projected to be something better than what his production was at the time. When Anthony Davis was at Kentucky, now granted, I'm talking about guys who are bigger in stature because I know Kyrie highlighted that Bronny's 6'3". I'm just using that as an example. There are a lot of guys who are projected to be better than what they've shown in college. That does not mean that that's what your limitations are. You can be better than what your stature is. I think Bronny's going to be just fine. He's not 6'8" like his dad. That's cool, but he'll be just fine because he's a defensive player. His mindset is that of an unselfish guy. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Now Bryce is a problem. I like Bryce.
Bryce is like 6'6" right now. 6'7".
Yeah, and Bryce is only a sophomore. Bryce is going to be a problem.
I don't know Bron can wait around that long for Bryce to get to the league. But Bryce does seem like he is going to be a problem.
And the ill thing with Bryce is Bryce developed all of his outside game first because he was undersized. So he can already shoot. He can do all those things of a small guard. But now he hit his growth spurt. Bryce is going to be a problem.
Have y'all seen the female Juju Watkins? She plays for USC. I've seen a couple of highlights, but I haven't watched an entire game to speak on her that much. But from what I've seen, yeah. Let me go back to. I see. Shout out to Imani. I see you. Let me go back to your first comment, and then I'm gonna talk about what you just put down there. What's going on, fellas? Last time I was on, y'all had a boxer to come on. He said I'm busy, LOL. And did y'all see Turn Shannon?
Here go the jab.
She always gotta do this. Was arrested on rape charges. He plays for Illinois. Now we can't speak on it if he did or it was consensual. But Wild Hooper's got to take it if it's true. It's been a lot of cases over the years. I got to bring up uncomfortable topics. Well, first of all, I don't even want to just say Wild Hooper. I want to say anybody. Why does anybody, what I'm saying, feel like that's the thing to do? Like, I'm not even just going to single out basketball players or athletes in general. No man or woman, for that matter, should be forcing themselves on anybody. Let's start there. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Why is anybody? You know what I mean? So, but as far as the kid from Illinois, again, we're gonna say allegedly because there hasn't been any final decisions. But you know what I'm saying? We obviously we don't support that. And if it is true, then he got to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. That's just what it is.
He does need to be punished to the fullest extent of the law if it is true. But this is why we always say let's kind of let it play out and figure out what's going on. Um, it's always unfortunate though when these type of allegations come up because we now live in a world where we're conditioned to be skeptical of it and wonder if it's even true because so many times we've heard people kind of backtrack these allegations. So the only thing we can do is wait and see what comes of it and what evidence comes out. And until then, I don't want to condemn the young man, but at the same time, I don't want to take the allegations lightly either.
Hold on, let me just Trip Yung Sanchez. I can say I want it and get you in my room and panties off. I say no, you gotta stop. Then you gotta stop. That's
You
it.
gotta
Like,
stop. No means no. That's a fact.
you preaching to the choir on that one. I'm
Yeah,
just
you're not telling us something that we don't believe in as well.
yeah. I don't because I will tell you right now if God forbid if it was one of the females in my family that something like that happened to or somebody tried them, I'm willing to risk it all to take
Right.
care of that situation. I am completely against that. I don't care if we both butt naked and it's we dead man making contact. If it's a no, that's it. Then it's over. You better go in the shower and get the Vaseline or something. But other than that, no, we don't condone that in the slightest. I don't care who it is, who you are. No, if a person says stop, and that's a man or woman, because whatever the case may be, if a person says stop, I don't care at what point it is, you got to stop, and that's it. That it is what it is.
I 1000% agree with that. I got two daughters, so I don't even play that game. Like it is what it is. But to Amani's point, not just females lie, people lie in general. I don't want to put that just on females.
Yeah.
You know, again, I don't want to condemn the young man until we know the full details. But I also agree you have to respect women. If a woman tells you no, that's where it stops. No means no. There's no questions asked. There's nothing else to that. There's no explanation. That's
Exactly. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. They don't know. My freedom is worth too much. I don't even play that type of game. We don't play
yeah,
those.
that's a fact. That's a fact.
And but I just hate the woman that's the color of paper a lot of times do this to our black athletes. It does.
That's a history of that as well. There's a history of that. Yeah.
Shout out to Emerald Marie, one of our other co-hosts. We spoke back in this is a couple of years ago in the TV station. The two athletes from Alabama, that were I believe it was the basketball team they were on, but they were accused of rape, and then everything came out that it wasn't true, that it was a lie. So yes, you do have that happening, and again, and that is a perfect example of why a lot of times we will wait to speak on certain things because, and that's not to say it's always like that, but there are a lot of cases where lie and say things, and that's not just a particular race because we can go to the Brian Banks story,
Mm-hmm.
who
One of the saddest stories.
yeah, and wound up losing his career, his livelihood, and had to serve some time in jail over a lie, and that wasn't proven until years later. So you have to wait and get all of the details and understand what's really going on before you just start going in on these type of topics. Well, I bring Messi, but y'all have the same New Year's. Don't drink too much. Listen, man, we're gonna get ready to wrap this thing up. Happy New Year's to everyone as well. Oh, wait, can't wrap. We can't wrap up just yet because we do got to shout out Bruce Carrington. He is ranked number 10 in the featherweight division. It's on the ESPN list right now. He's top 10 in the rankings. So big shout out to Bruce Carrington on that. He had a great 2023. And I think we're gonna see him get that title shot in 2024. I know we said 2 years last time he was on the show, but just based off the trajectory and how things are going, I'm gonna say next year he gets that title shot.
The title shot is in his near future. He was also named Prospect of the Year. So shout out to Shushu. I know he's gonna be rocking with us very soon.
Let me see what you said. Wait, y'all remember the player that played for the Spurs that she kept saying he was pulling his stuff out at the sessions? Y'all know she lied. They was having an affair. She dropped the lawsuit. He plays for the Clippers now. but she was willing to take him. She was willing to take him down. That's what I mean. There are a lot of cases like that. So we gotta wait and see until all of the facts are out. Drunk, you know what? I'm gonna take your word for this, drunk. But I'm just saying, y'all, we gonna see drunk in 2024. Drunk, you better be ready to come on the show. We gonna have a guest appearance from drunk on the show in 2024. All right, so be ready for that one. Since you're gonna be sober, we're gonna get you on the on the show in 2024.
Yeah, that's a fact. We got to bring Drunk on the show. Um, he started. He couldn't even finish sober. He said, "Never mind. That's not even happening."
Exactly, man.
She
Um,
told. I know Josh Primo. Yeah, I was just looking at. Yeah, Josh Primo. That's a fact. Remember, Josh Primo was a first round pick and
mhm.
got cut by the Spurs. They let him go, and then yeah, it
And it
came
came
out
out
that she fabricated the allegations.
exactly. Oh, shout out to Kareem, successful surgery. Says he's gonna be in recovery for about 2 months. But salute to the legend Hall of Famer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. With that being said, make sure you guys are following us on all our social media: Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/ Real Fans Real Talk. We got an episode with Combo that's going to be dropping very soon to start off the year for us. Shout out to Combo. We had a basketball special we shot with Combo. And subscribe to that YouTube channel if you haven't already, youtube.com/ For the Fans Productions. And if you're not in the New York City area, you can't watch us on Thursday nights on Verizon 43 from 8 to 9 p.m. Don't worry, you can watch us from anywhere in the world on the website, realfansrealtalk.com. And yes, Imani, we haven't gone into production yet on the documentary. So once we get into production, I will have that conversation with Shamika Holslaw, and we're gonna work on bringing her to Real Fans Real Talk. And make sure you guys subscribe to both the Sanchez Show and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast, streaming on all major platforms. No, that's Justin Biggs that you're thinking about that came
Mhm.
on with Chris Biggs. Bruce Carrington, Justin Biggs is a middleweight, if I'm not mistaken, right now. I think he's fighting at middleweight. Bruce Carrington is fighting at featherweight, and it was just released that he's ranked number 10 on the featherweight division ranking order. So big shout out to him for that. Eric, you want to give us a final thought?
Of course, man. Listen, as always, I want to thank the supporters, man. Y'all could be anywhere in the world, y'all rocking with us. And here we are on New Year's Eve, and y'all taking the time to chop it up with us. So we greatly appreciate it. Stay tuned. We got a lot of things in store. Trip and I, we've been talking behind the scenes, so we want to continue to kind of bring you guys into the fold of what we're doing. So definitely pay attention there. And I hope everyone has had a happy and safe holiday season and a great new year as we go into 2024, man.
Likewise, I'm just gonna piggyback off of that. Nothing but love, peace, and happiness going into this 2024. Again, if you guys are going out, just be safe, man. It's a lot of crazies out there. It's a lot of weirdos out there. So if you're going out, just be safe. If you drinking, be safe. Be aware of your surroundings, and get home safe to your loved ones and your family, man. That's all I can say. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, and my brother Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace. Let's go, Ravens.